Hey, we're back again. Asher, welcome. He's back after missing last week's episode due to an eye injury. Obviously, it's looking a lot better. But how you doing, Ash?
Doing all right. Yeah, you can see I can actually see out of my left eye now, so
Yeah,
that's cool. Very
no
happy
eye.
with that.
Yeah, no eye patch anymore or
No
anything
eye
like that.
patch. Yeah, you
Yeah.
won't get to see Pirate Asher on the pod, unfortunately.
All right. So we have quite a bit to talk about today. We got some reports out of OTAs. If you've been following, um, there's a little bit of news, a little bit of beef that's going on between Derrick Gunn and AJ Brown. Just a few days ago, Derrick Gunn reported from OTAs, and he said, "End quote." He said one person said, "Let me give you a scenario of what he went through." We're talking about Jalen Hurts. He's reporting about Jalen Hurts. He says, one person said, "Let me give you a scenario of what he went through in one day of practice. It was a 10-play scenario, and he had 3 picks, 4 incompletions, and 3 sacks." Now, obviously, AJ Brown did not like this at all, and he responded to this tweet, and I quote, "That practice stuff about Jalen is fake. Y'all tweet and believe anything. Like, how can he get sacked on a 7-on-7 when there aren't any rushers? I believe Water's above us. Believe that too, and make an article about that as well. This app is insane." So that just goes to say that just like even AJ Brown, who just arrived in the city, is already noting the mass hysteria that is the Philadelphia media
Mm.
at times. Asher, what are your thoughts on that little interaction between
Well,
AJ?
number one, I really like that I believe that water is above us. I don't exactly know what that means, but
I mean,
it's
I mean,
pretty funny.
I don't really know. I mean, I read that and I was like,
Yeah,
okay, AJ. I mean, it took me a minute to get his point, but I think he was just making up some bull crap and was just trying to, he was making up a
right,
little
right.
up and saying, "Oh, I believe this, so you should believe it too," which is really what Derek Gunn is saying.
Yeah, just something that's like obviously ridiculous. But
Yeah. So
I mean, this
that's
is like obviously an accredited reporter, like
like,
Eagles reporter. That I mean, I did see that he responded and said that Jalen wasn't actually sacked, but like after a certain amount of time in that drill, the coach is going to blow the whistle and say it's essentially a coverage sack. So that and it's not like that's a completely invalid statement he made about how uh, bad Jalen's day was at that practice.
well, yeah. I mean, that's just tough. It's annoying. It seems like every single summer, whenever we're excited about a player and we're like highly anticipating some development out of the player, we always hear nothing but negativity about it. It's like,
Mm.
I mean, the last year I really remember, having any sort of excitement as early as OTAs was the Super Bowl year. I remember Doug Peterson was talking about Carson Wentz, and like I don't know if it was training camp or OTAs where he came out and he was like, "I think this team could win a Super Bowl this year." And
Mm.
I mean, I don't know, but that was the last time I really remember anything positive coming out of OTAs or anything. So I mean, it's pretty hard to believe anything that's reported from OTAs because again, I mean, it's 7-on-7. It's not real stuff, but I just thought that interaction was really funny, and if I didn't love AJ Brown before this interaction, I love him even more. I love the fact that he's coming right into this town and is for one sticking up for his teammates, and is calling out some ridiculous reports, even though they might have some credibility. Still really amusing to see. Um, so it's really that. So that's really the only Eagles news, unfortunately, that we have thus far. Really dry. Training camp starts in a little bit. We got the preseason coming up, so we'll have more content by then. We'll have more to talk about. But it's the off season. Not much going on there. But in the meantime, I have a very important question. So I was listening to talk radio and I heard this being talked about a little bit. And I figured I'd just bring it here. And that question being, what is the most impactful or what's the best acquisition the Eagles have made? The best name that we brought in that is not named AJ Brown.
Mm. So, I mean, I think there's two ways to look at that. You can look at how much impact is this player going to have this season. If you look at it that way, we're talking about guys like Jordan Davis probably starting right away on that defensive line. We're talking about Hassan Reddick coming in, big deal. I remember how excited we all were when we found out we were going to sign him. And third guy, I would talk about James Bradbury, just coming in to shore up that DB core. Now, if we're talking about best, I would probably tend to lean towards a guy like Nakobe Dean, who's I would hope is going to end up being a solid, maybe Pro Bowl level linebacker for these Eagles for years to come. Maybe Cam Jurgens, who's coming in to replace Jason Kelsey when that sad day comes and he actually does retire.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe as early as next offseason.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at the question, I'm going to be answering it. I mean, I'm very much I have my analysis based on, what kind of impact is this player going to have? You guys have seen me in the past with the Sixers podcast. This offseason, I've really been looking for players that are going to be a high impact player coming into this year. And so
right away.
I'm kind of approaching this question with the same exact mindset. And so the way I would answer it is my favorite acquisition thus far is Hassan Reddick. He's been a big sack guy. That's what he's good at. And I think, we've always been a really good defensive line that can apply pressure to the quarterback, but we haven't really been that team that can really take down the quarterback. And now that we've gotten a guy like Hassan Reddick in the mix, who now, is playing in his hometown, there's going to be a new, layer of confidence to his game. And then on top of that, he's already a beast in itself. So I think it's going to be really nice to have a guy like him, coming off the edge there. I think he's been able to produce a lot. I think he's going to be the first player since I think it was Connor Barwin who had a double-digit sack season. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't know when the last player was, but I think Hassan Reddick is going to be a big sack producer this year. He's going to produce a lot of pressure on the side. He's going to be able to get up for the quarterback, and with us being strong on the defensive line already, strong-ish. I guess we're getting a little bit weaker with Fletcher Cox.
Right, those guys are aging, which is important to note.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be really nice. I think we're going to be able to. He's going to really be able to thrive in our system, and he just really plugs it right into this defense and is going to be able to make an impact right away, which is what I really like. I was also going to note Nakobe Dean. I really like him only because, I mean, for one, he's the first notable linebacker we've really drafted. I mean, this guy was projected to be first round, and he somehow dropped to us in the third round.
Yeah.
I was shocked when we had drafted him. I mean, I thought we were going to get him in the second round, but then we took Jurgens, and I was like, oh, well, I really wanted Nakobe Dean, but I guess he's going to go to a team like Baltimore or, those teams that always seem to get lucky with those.
Yeah, just really picking up the guys that everybody passes on.
Yeah. So, we got him, and I was just – my mind was blown. This guy is going to be, a cornerstone to our linebacker core, as you said, for years to come. I'm really excited for that. So the future's looking bright there. But those are really my two guys. But out of the two, I really like Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, it's definitely Hassan Reddick plays an extremely important position. It's definitely important to note that when we won the Super Bowl, that was probably our strongest defensive line within the last 5 seasons. So, pressuring the quarterback leads to wins, leads to championships. It's important to have guys that can do that. Hassan Reddick does it very well. For me, I would personally point to James Bradbury, just because, like I said, shoring up those the DB positions, I think that was probably our weakest position room prior to bringing Bradbury in. That really made us like a well-rounded team. That's what the Bradbury signing is what made me start thinking this is a team that could make some noise in the playoffs. This is very well-rounded. Because before that, we were probably going to end up starting Avonte Maddox on the outside. I think he's better suited towards the slot. And now he can go back to that natural position. Bradbury's a guy that has made the Pro Bowl before. He's an excellent cover guy. I can't remember the last time we've had two really high-end corners now with Slay and Bradbury, so that's exciting.
Yeah, that he was the final signing, I think. That really,
the last
I
big
mean,
one.
like you said, he was the final guy out of all the three. Mind you, Hassan Reddick came in the beginning. He was the first big addition. So, I mean, I definitely get the same sort of feeling when we acquired Bradbury. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really like the signing. But I do disagree with you as far as like what was our weakest position room in on the team. I think it was far and away the linebacker position.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, we've been weak there for years. Dude, I can't even remember like Najee Good days. God, I'm trying to even. I can't even remember. I can't even remember the last time we had like decent linebackers.
Yeah.
It was like Najee Good.
We had D'Amico Ryans briefly.
D'Amico Ryans.
I think that was the last really great linebacker we had.
Yeah. But we had a couple notable ones, but with Nakobe Dean, that's a start of something great there. And I'm really happy about that. But the one thing we can talk about how good these players are going to be and what we think of them, but what it really comes down to is Jonathan Gannon. And I mean, we've seen in the past, of course, he didn't have much to work with last year, but he wasn't very aggressive. He gave us, I mean, he liked to play a lot of like similar to somebody else that we know, Jim Schwartz. Very, very relaxed. It didn't seem like, I mean, we needed to put pressure on the quarterback. Maybe he was running blitzes and we just couldn't generate it, generate the pressure. But really, the X factors here is what is John Gannon going to do with the roster that he has now on the defense.
Yeah, you could definitely liken the season that Hurts is gonna have with like you've been given the weapons, now produce. It's a similar thing. It's important. I mean, it's pretty interesting that a lot of the guys that we've listed as far as big additions are on the defensive side. So now, Jonathan Gannon, you have the pieces. What are you gonna do with them?
Yeah,
it's time to prove yourself.
Yeah, and it's definitely, again, we're playing the waiting game. We have to wait and see how all of this plays out. It's getting pretty exhausting at this point. Being all excited and being like, oh my gosh, hey, we have AJ Brown, we have this player, we did that player, but like, I just want to see it in action already. And here we are. We're still like 7-8 weeks before the season begins. Preseason begins a little bit, but I'm anxious for it, and I'm kind of getting tired of just talking about it. I just want to see it happen already.
Yeah, I want to see him on the field for sure.
So, I mean, again, 2 X factors this season. Jonathan Gannon, he's a big X factor. See how he deals with the weapons he's been given, and the same thing with Jalen Hurts. We kind of been a broken record, but it's really we just have to wait and see what happens. There's only so much we can talk about when it comes to that stuff. Now, since we've gotten all our Eagles talk over with, we're going to continue our series of predictions where we run through the divisions. Now, disclaimer, since the last time we recorded, we did the NFC South, but there's a new face that has entered the NFC South. That is Baker Mayfield. So we will go back and revisit everything before the NFL regular season begins, and we'll make any edits we need to make. Hopefully the Deshaun Watson case is solved by then. We'll see what happens, but I think Baker Mayfield, becoming the new quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, certainly changes things for me.
Agreed.
Yeah. So we'll revisit it at a later date. But for today, we are going to run through our NFC North predictions and our AFC South predictions. So 2 divisions that, aren't too exciting, but, we got to get them over with. We got to predict them. So, Asher, if you want to start us off with the NFC North, who do you have winning the NFC North this year?
So for me, it's a no-brainer in my opinion. Aaron Rodgers owns the Vikings, the Bears, the Lions. Pretty sure he probably has a minority share in each of those franchises at this point in his career. I don't think that changes this year. Devontae Adams is gone. Excellent receiver. But Aaron Rodgers is one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever do it. They replaced not a full replacement, but Christian Watson. They drafted him in the second round. Absolute athletic freak. 6'4", ran like a 4.35. I mean, I think he's one of the biggest sleeper picks. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He's probably going to be Rodgers' favorite target this year. He's going to be a guy that pushes for 1,000 yards receiving, maybe 6-8 touchdowns. So I really don't think it's that far of a drop-off. Rodgers just pushes any offense to the upper echelon of, like, high-scoring offenses. So I got the Packers at 12-5, still just winning that division.
Yeah, so that's where I disagree. I think the Devontae Adams departure, it really, really hurts. I mean, again, they're the rookie there. We'll just see how that plays out. But as the roster sits right now, I have the Minnesota Vikings winning the division. Now, they made some notable acquisitions. They extended Darius Smith, and they signed Patrick Peterson, so they were able to strengthen up that defense that was already good to begin with. So I think with that, I think they're gonna win the division at 11-6 this year. I just when it comes to the Packers, I have them coming in second at 10-7. I think I just don't see Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's a very good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, very very good. But with the departure of Devontae Adams, I think that's something that's really going to come back to bite them. And I don't really think there's anything else there for him to really work with. I mean, you're absolutely right. He'll push the offense to to be a top 5 offense in the NFL, really regardless of the personnel that's there. But I think the Vikings, finally, take back the throne of the NFC North this year.
So some high Kirk Cousins trust from you, I guess.
So yes, yeah. I think they're going to win the division, and I don't think they're going to really perform in the playoffs. Again, I still have the Packers as a wild card team. So don't get me wrong, but I do believe in Kirk Cousins. I think Justin Jefferson is going to continue to, be one of the top 5 receivers, top 10 receivers in the NFL. He's going to be very, very good, as we've seen. But Kirk Cousins, he's going to have his moments. But I just think that the loss of Devontae Adams is going to be a lot more glaring than a lot of people think.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers is getting up there in age. I'm not saying he's going to decline, but he is no Tom Brady. I would not compare him to Tom Brady. He's not someone who doesn't age.
Okay.
So I mean, I expect kind of the same Aaron Rodgers, but there's no Devontae Adams there, and that's something that's that has to be considered when it comes to this.
Okay.
And I think that the Vikings have kind of been right on the edge the last few years, even if the record hasn't really, showed it. But I think this year is finally the year where they take the next step. Justin Jefferson is now established. I mean, the chemistry is still building there with Kirk Cousins. The defense has only gotten better. Zadarius Smith, huge extension. But really, I mean, that's really the moral of the story. No Devontae Adams. I think there's going to be a little bit of a drop off with the Packers, and then stronger defense, and the defense wins championships. I just think that the Vikings are going to be a little bit better this year, and they're finally going to take that next step.
Yeah, I like Justin Jefferson a lot. I love Dalvin Cook. Okay on Kirk Cousins. I would like to see that Vikings team succeed, take that next step. I don't think it's going to happen. Kirk Cousins isn't the guy, in my opinion. I just don't think he's a guy that's going to lead a team to 12, 13 wins. The defense is okay. It's probably slightly above average at best. I mean, that offense is killer, but this is probably a team. I got them at 9-8. Maybe they push for 10-7 in that one of those playoff spots. They don't excite me. I don't love them this year. But who excites me less is the other two teams in the division.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. Chicago probably got worse somehow. Detroit, I think Detroit is on the right trajectory. I like Dan Campbell as a head coach a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They bring in DJ Chark from the Jaguars. He's a solid receiver. Jared Goff isn't a world beater. You know, he can't bring a bad team to the playoffs. I got both teams at 5-12. I think a lot of people have the Bears as the worst team in the NFL now. I think that defense is still really solid. Khalil Mack's gone, but their head coach Matt Eberflus was the defensive coordinator for the Colts. I think he's a really smart coach. I think he's going to be good for them. I think that defense is going to keep them afloat. So I have both teams at 5-12.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I think the Lions see a little bit of improvement this year. You know, I mean, they're really running it back with mostly the same crew, with the exception of adding, was it DJ Chark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, same crew. I mean, there's really nothing that excites me about either of these teams. There's really not much to talk about. You know, Bears, like you said, lost Khalil Mack. The defense is still all right. I mean, they're not going to be awful. I think there's definitely worse teams in the league. But you know, I have them both also a 5-12. You know, really nothing to talk about in that realm. Moving on to our next division, which is also kind of a sorry division. We're AFC South. Asher, if you wanna go, you know, who do you have winning the AFC South this year?
This year, I think so. Last year, the Tennessee Titans I think they had 12 wins, 12-5, and
they were the 1 seed in the AFC.
Right, and the Colts went 9-8, had a disappointing finish to the season, just missed the playoffs.
Yep, thanks to our boy Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz, yeah.
Yep.
This year, I see that flipping. So last time we were talking about the divisions, I went on a little bit about Matt Ryan and how he's underrated and how the drop from Matt Ryan is more pronounced than people think. So the Colts get the benefit of that. They move on. I mean, I have no hate towards Carson Wentz. I think Matt Ryan is a lot better than people think. I think that's a pretty solid upgrade for the Colts. Jonathan Taylor is an absolute beast. Just scary for any team to face. Frank Reich's a great head coach. I think it's a very well-rounded team. I think they had some bad luck last year, and along with a quarterback upgrade, I have them at 11-6, winning the division.
Yep. Yeah, I'm right there actually. Yeah, same record. I was thinking 10-7, but I gave them the benefit of the doubt. You know, my father is a Falcons fan, so I've been watching Matt Ryan, you know, for the longest time now. You know, Matt Ryan, he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's underrated. I think you know, winning MVP back in 2016. I mean, he's definitely, you know, he's shown that he's a really good quarterback, and I think the whole league can at least recognize that. So I mean, I'm right on the dot. Right, same there with you, Asher. I had them winning at 11-6. I mean, really, I mean, like you said, well-rounded team. And the big addition was really just Matt Ryan, and I think, you know, like you said, significant upgrade over Carson Wentz. The only concern is like, is he going to get Super Bowl 51 flashbacks when it comes down to the big moments? You know, although it wasn't really entirely his fault what happened, I wonder if he's going to crumple when it comes down to like the last stretch of the season, if they really need to push to, you know, clinch a playoff spot or whatever it is. But you know, I'm right there with you. But then in second place, I have the Titans, and this is going to be a significant drop off. The Titans, you know, took multiple wounds to the heart this offseason. They lost AJ Brown, to us because yeah,
I know that guy.
yeah, I know that guy. He's new wide receiver one. And then they lost Julio. He was released. And then they also have Derrick Henry, who's been a beast for the past few years, but he's coming off of a foot injury, so his performance is going to be a little bit questionable. Um, so I mean, they're really running it. They have Ryan Tannehill, you know, Derrick Henry coming off of an injury. I don't know how much I can trust that, especially with running backs, with how much wear and tear they go through. We've seen a lot of running backs. Really the primes only last a few years. We've seen Derrick Henry dominate for a couple of years now, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a decline in his game. Still gonna be very good, but gonna be a little bit of a decline. Um, and now their wide receiver, their number one wide receiver is their draft pick Treylon Burks,
Yep.
and I mean, I like him, but he's nothing to be super excited about. But long story short, with all these losses, Ryan Tannehill running the show there, I have them at 7-10. I have a big, big drop off. I really think they come out and they have a very disappointing season. I mean, their offense is, you know, just a speck of what it was last year. They don't really have any wide receivers. I mean, it's just kind of a really sad situation over there. After being the one seed last year, mind you, last year, even with how strong they were, for me at least, I don't know about you, but they didn't really feel like a one seed to me. They didn't feel like a true one seed.
No, I remember being very surprised at the end of the season when the Titans were the 1 seed because it didn't feel like they were like destroying the league at any point. I mean, it was very impressive just because they didn't have Derrick Henry, how well they coped without him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's important to note that they had AJ Brown and Julio while they were doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So Derrick Henry, coming back from a foot injury, actually did return last year during the playoffs.
Yeah.
Didn't exactly look like himself, but you can't really blame him.
Right.
I'm not a doctor. I don't think the foot injuries have as much of a lasting impact on a player as do the knees and the hips. But I'm thinking back to like 10 years ago now when Adrian Peterson tore that ACL and came back and just had a ridiculous season. Just no one expected it. I think Derrick Henry is that level of running back. He's one of the best that we've seen in the past 10, 15 years. I mean, he's a killer. He's a big guy, so we'll see how much putting pressure on that foot, how much that affects him. Assuming we have a full Derrick Henry season and he looks back to himself, which I think is entirely possible, I think he carries this offense. I think they could still get a winning record. I have them at 9-8. I could definitely see them pushing to 10-7. Just based on how well they coped without him, I think this is a team that that they can fight through losing some guys.
I mean, maybe I'm taking the magnitude of those losses too heavy. But I mean, I don't like. I'm not a big Ryan Tannehill guy. It's a quarterback's league. I mean, he doesn't have much to work. I don't know. I just get a bad taste in my mouth when I'm thinking about the Tennessee Titans this year. And here we are back again to a couple of really lame teams, except for the Jags, because our beloved Doug Peterson is now the new head coach there. And I have them. Let me find it. Okay. Like once again, just like the NFC North, I have both the Jaguars and the Texans finishing at 5-12.
Okay.
Jaguars, they spent a lot of money this year. They went out and dropped the bag on Christian Kirk. They had Trevor Lawrence going into his second season, so I'm hoping he can really develop. I mean, he has a legitimate head coach now to really develop under, and we love Dougie P. So I trust that Trevor Lawrence can take some strides in his game this year, which is why I have them a few more wins than they had last year. So I see the Jaguars taking a couple steps ahead. The Texans, I mean, really not too much going on there. Hold up. What the heck happened? Okay. I mean, really, they didn't make any true additions. They got a new head coach, Lovie Smith. Don't really know much about the guy. I know he coached for the Bears, but what was it, back in 05 or 04 when they
I think that was 06, 07.
06, 07. Yeah.
Yeah, when they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's been in the league a lot. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see him, how he's going to deal with the dysfunctional organization that is the Houston Texans right now.
Mm.
I mean, really kind of boring. I mean, there's really nothing to talk about.
Yeah. So the Texans really made no moves. Davis Mills is a solid quarterback. I mean, he looked promising for a third-round pick playing for a pretty terrible team last year, and they really did not do much to say, hey, we want to help you progress. They didn't really put any other guys around him. Lovie Smith is a solid coach, but I mean, I think the Texans are pretty talent deficient. I think I have them at 3-14. The Jaguars, it really depends on how much you think Trevor Lawrence is going to progress, going from a really rough first season to a second season. It's not unheard of for quarterbacks to just explode in that second season. We saw it ourselves with Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes did it. It happens pretty often.
Peyton Manning did it, if I'm not.
Peyton Manning had a terrible rookie season and just turned it around pretty fast. Yeah. Lawrence, I don't think he has the guys around him to quite make that same sort of leap. Etienne is back. I like him a lot. He's an explosive running back. Kirk's a solid receiver, probably overpaid. We saw that wide receiver market get super inflated when he got that money. They brought in Brandon Scherf from the Commanders, who's a solid offensive lineman. And, maybe Dougie P is the second-year quarterback whisperer, and he brings out that same sort of MVP season out of Lawrence. If you have that much faith in Lawrence, I wouldn't tell you you're crazy for telling me the Jaguars could go 8-9, maybe go 9-8 if Lawrence has a crazy season. I don't see him making that sort of leap. I have them at 6-11. I think he shows us that why he was that first overall pick, though.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with. I mean, I've been a lifelong Clemson fan. I had siblings that went to Clemson, so I watched, Trevor Lawrence throughout college. I watched like everything. I mean, I mean, there's reason why. I mean, don't take his first season and make a judgment out of him because,
right.
I mean, like, did you know, like, he literally never lost a game, like, never lost
a regular season game,
Yeah, since he began high school.
Yeah, like, he's a winner for sure.
He's a winner. I mean, granted, now this is the NFL; it's a whole different ball game, literally. But I mean, do not doubt Trevor Lawrence. I'm a big Trevor Lawrence guy. I liked him coming out of college. I liked him in college. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Clemson fan. But I mean, this kid is insane. I mean, the reason why I mentioned Peyton Manning, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and compare him to him, but like at the same time I am. I've seen Trevor Lawrence. He's a he's comfortable in the pocket. I think last year there was so much bullshit, so much bullshit going on. Something that he's really been in a very nice system for his entire life. I mean, Clemson was like, really, there was not many distractions at all. They were very, very well run. And then he went to a dysfunctional organization.
Yeah.
Something he's not really familiar with. And you have to deal with all this adversity and all these distractions on top of like really not having much to work with. I mean, I would not be surprised if we saw at least a significant jump in Trevor Lawrence's game this year. I mean, I still have him at 5-12. I'm trying to play it a little bit conservative because – I mean, I don't know. I don't know how Doug Peterson is going to come in there and run the offense. There's a lot of X factors. I mean, there's so much you can do as far as predictions, but I don't see them being that much better. But I definitely see Trevor Lawrence taking some nice strides in his game.
Yep.
So that about does it for the episode. But before we go, we have one more thing to tell you guys. Any college students, moving into dorms in about a month, moving into an apartment, or even if you're just a regular sports guy, just wanting something cool to put on your wall. There's these cool things. They're called sports displays. If you're looking to, mount a jersey on your wall, sports displays offers a nice product that makes it really convenient and really easy to really mount any jersey, anything you really want onto your wall. The website is called thesportsdisplays.com, and if you use our promo code PickSwap, you can get 10% off at checkout. Um, Make sure you guys subscribe. Follow us on the 215 Scoop on Instagram, 215 Scoop on TikTok, 215 Scoop PSM on Twitter. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll catch you in a week.